Hey guys, welcome to my potting table. If you have followed me for any time at all, either on Instagram or on YouTube, and if you're not, make sure to subscribe, because if you are a topiary lover, and I know so many of you guys out there, I'm kind of a topiary evangelist, and I have apparently a number of converts. So if you, like me, are a topiary nut, then make sure that you subscribe, because there's going to be a ton of topiary information coming up. But if you love topiary, then maybe at some point in your topiary career, then you have tried to grow lemon cypress topiary. Normally these are available around the holidays. They smell incredible. They have a lemony scent, a fresh lemony scent, and they typically come in a couple of different forms. A lot of times you can find them in this pre-made standard lollipop topiary form. I also have some that are in a conical, more Christmas tree form. This is kind of a doppelganger, you guys. If you can't find lemon cypress, you might want to consider growing one of these Nightlights chemiciparis. This is a southern living plant. I love the way they look together because they both have that same vibrant gold foliage. They're both conifers. I love the free form of this against the more tightly clipped ball of that. Again, I'm a lover of contrasts. But if you have grown lemon cypress topiary, then you know that unlike some other kinds of things that you can grow, they're not necessarily very forgiving. Case in point. So this one, you might be able to kind of see. Stuart, maybe you can kind of show the guys what it looks like. I've already started on it. This one, inexplicably, it started out like this. It was fresh, it was beautiful, it was green. Both of these were positioned in the same space on my front porch. And for whatever reason, I don't know, this one just decided to give it up. And that just happens sometimes. Now, also, if you have followed me for any length of time, you know that not only am I a topiary lover, but I am also extremely thrifty, and I am loath to discard anything that might have some residual value like this topiary. It's really hard for me to throw away anything that's got a really strong central trunk and a topiary form, even if it's past its prime and on the dead side. This one is definitely en route to the graveyard, the topiary graveyard, but I want to salvage it in some way if I can. So I'm going to transform what was a living lemon cypress lollipop standard topiary into what we will call preserved or a dried form of lemon cypress, because this way we don't have to discard it. So what are the signs that it is just not going to recover? One sign is that it just starts getting kind of crispy and it lacks the intensity of this color. The other is that instead of being the needles being really upright like they are here, they will tend to kind of droop, and they will start kind of putting their faces downward, looking downward instead of looking up and perky like this. And so at that point, you can try to resurrect it. I have found once it gets to that stage, it's pretty difficult to revive. Now, that said, you guys know my philosophy on topiary. I have had this for a really long time. I think I got it at Christmas time, and it is now May. I enjoyed it for a really long time. It probably started out to be in the $20 range. To me, that was definitely a wonderful investment. Lasted a lot longer than if I had a $20 bouquet of fresh flowers. So I don't in any way regret buying it, but if I can salvage it in some way and continue to maintain its functionality in my garden landscape or in my home, then I will. So what I'm doing is transforming it again into a preserved or a dry form of lemon cypress. And I'm doing that just with my very favorite little clippers here. These are Joyce Chin pruners. You can find them in my Amazon shop. I don't intend to do these kind of commercials, but I know a bunch of you will ask me what I use and where I get them. So look there, they're under the garden section in my Amazon shop. And so I am just clipping off anything that is jutting out, that is not a tight form, or that might be drooping downward, and I'm just doing it in a circular fashion. So you guys could see the contrast. I already did this side, and now I'm doing this side. And you can kind of see it starting to take shape. One thing to really pay attention to, especially on these, is the stuff that's growing on the bottom that tends to be particularly shaggy. I don't know if that's just gravity or what, but I'm really going to clip that pretty intricately. Sometimes it helps to have reading glasses on if you're doing this. And definitely you want to make sure that you look at it 360. Sometimes I'll even put it on like a Lazy Susan or something so that I can turn it with ease and see what it looks like in the entirety of its circumference. Entirance, that's another new word. I tend to make up words. Okay, so there we go. Now, it looks not as fresh, not as perky, not as green as these other still living lemon cypress topiary. But at this point, that's not really my concern, because look, it still has great form. It still looks like a ball on a stem. It was still living. I would much rather have this than a plastic form of topiary or a synthetic form of topiary. It is still potted beautifully with my signature gravel on top. And you know what I can do now with this, you guys? I can take this inside. I don't have to worry anymore about whether or not it gets adequate light, adequate moisture. I can put it in a shady spot in the back. That's how you get the clippings off of the gravel without disturbing the gravel itself. And it just looks like a really coiffed form of this one that's still alive. Now, I ask you, if you saw this, would you discard it? No. Would you probably buy it in a gift shop in its preserved state? Yes. I didn't have to throw it away. I didn't have to repot it. It still looks beautiful. And I think I'm going to bring this and put it in my living room. It will stay in my living room for a good long while. At a certain point, if it gets too dried out or I feel like it's too dusty, at that point then I might discard it. But as long as something continues to have utility and beauty, then I am going to keep it. So there you go. How to maintain a preserved or dried lemon cypress topiary.